So I would want us to actually start with questions about things that we've done so far, maybe things that are bothering your mind. Maybe we'll take those questions first before I start talking about this particular topic. So if you have any questions, just send them to the chat. I'm ready to answer them and then we can continue. So I'm waiting for questions. If you have any question at all, even if it's not something we've done so far, anything in your mind, just ask, especially when it is related to security. So we speak in that aspect, we clarify some few things and then we go. So before whilst the questions are coming in, if you have any questions, that is, on the first day we had to deal with basic terminologies in cybersecurity. I think there was left with three of them that we didn't actually tackle. I don't know whether I should go and talk about those three. No, we'll deal with that one at another time. Please, if you have the questions, you can send them to the chats. So the first day we dealt with the terminologies or the fundamentals. We spoke about the CIA triad. We spoke about confidentiality. We spoke about integrity and availability. We explained these things into detail, so I will not try to break them down again. So we spoke about on the second day we went into talking about, I think, hackers and the hacking methodology. So yeah, that was where we did a few things under that. I'm sure a lot of people were actually confused for that particular um, session because I did a lot of things, but I had wanted to take it in the perspective of a real life hacking. That's a real life approach. That's why I actually used a real world system to test whatever was done. And in regards to that, we will not be sending the video for that particular one. I would record another session with a virtual machine, so that at least the real world one that we saw and the vulnerabilities that were found on that particular one, we wouldn't expose it on YouTube. I beg you very much. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So would I would actually have a session recorded where I would use a virtual machine and I'll use a vulnerable architecture basically to just show forth the various things that I did last time. So it will be a bit different, to be faster. It will not be as frustrating as it was last time that I was trying to find this information, find that information. This one is just go straight to the point, but it will still be worthwhile. So please expect that video before next week. Yeah. So I just saw a question. Is it possible to provide or recommend extra materials for much more understanding beyond the class? That's not a problem. I would make some materials available to uh, Bright, so that Bright can post them to the page. That's the WhatsApp page, so that you can download from there. But if you want recommendations in terms of videos, there are a lot of YouTube channels like Network Chuck. He'll teach you every single thing about basic networks into some form of cybersecurity. Just know that most of the things that you see on YouTube, they mostly don't work in real life as you see them. They are good, actually. They are very good. Before a person becomes a master, the person and before the person tests real world systems, the person has to go with testing vulnerable systems, very much vulnerable systems, before finding secure systems. At least the vulnerable systems would make you very much happy for what is coming. At least you'll be enthused for hacking. But then when you start testing out the real world systems, that's when you realize that there's a lot that actually goes into it. So you can follow Network Charge. Let me type that for you. So for YouTube channels, we have Network Chuck, we have David Bumble, we have DCM Security, we have which other ones are there? I think Naham Sec, we have Those ones are okay for now. I would make other things available so that you guys can learn from every other person. Especially David Bambo. Please follow David Bambo. One of the reasons is he gets resource persons on board, and those resource persons get to expose the way they entered into the. I just remembered another one. I think hacking with friends. That one is also good. Yeah. So network David Bambo actually lets people come on board where he makes them explain roadmaps for cybersecurity and stuff of that sort. The first time I met someone called Occupy the Web was on that particular page. And since then I've fallen in love with Occupy the Web. The man is actually a very good hacker. And he has been basically talking about the various things that can be done in simplest forms. So please follow David Bumble. Very much important. Okay, will PDFs be provided? Yeah, those are the very resources I'm even talking about. I'll send PDFs to Bright so that Bright will place them on our page on WhatsApp so that at least you can start reading on your own. It's good to build the hacking mindset. If you don't have the hacking mindset, you would have a bit of difficulty hacking. A hacker's mindset is very much important. So I'll send books on hackers mindset. I'll send books on other stuff, but I'll make sure I don't send every single thing at once. I'll send things that are beginner friendly so that you will not end up reading certain things and your mind would just start spiraling. So I would actually help us in that space in terms of what PDFs to bring on board. So yeah. Any more questions? If there are more questions, please place them in the chat before we go into this. I'll not take much of our time today. I'll actually do most of the demonstrations tomorrow, but I would want to explain the basics for some of the things I'll do tomorrow today. I'm sure probably whilst I'm going, maybe something will just come into my mind and I'll be like, okay, just do it. But well, let's see. I'm very much tired, but we can still have the session. I would explain it to the best possible means so that as possible so that at least for fundamentals you can get that, and when we start doing whatever we are doing to attack the system, you know exactly what we are doing. Okay, so since I'm not seeing any question, let's start. Okay, I think I actually have a very good sense of humor, because if you're looking at our if you're looking at our on your screen right now, you can see an image of a hat, and you can see a sword actually going through the hat, or sort of piercing the hat. Now, we've heard of heart attacks. This is not how a heart attack actually occurs anyway, but it just gives a very good idea of what a heart attack is. I think so. Well, that's what I think personally. What do you think? Doesn't it actually look good in terms of it's showing for heart attack, like the sword is attacking the heart and stuff of that sort? Now, one of the reasons why I actually place it in this manner is because if if you are if you are actually following cybersecurity, you know that cybersecurity is all about attacks and how to mitigate them. Yeah. Cybersecurity is all about, sorry about that, someone sent me a message saying that the the sword is smaller than the heart. Of course, the sword is smaller than the heart, but then it can pierce the heart really well and cause an attack. So, so this is a heart attack. Now, if you are working in a company and your company gets breached and your data gets stolen, the first thing that will start worrying you is your heart. It is just the truth. Anytime that a vulnerable person gets um exploited, the first thing that worries the person is the heart. The heart, you just start feeling some sort of thing around your chest, like your heart is compressing, it is shrinking, that kind of stuff. So this is exactly what attacks do. At the end of the day, whatever attack comes around, whether it is a spiritual attack, it is a physical attack, an emotional attack, or a cyber attack, your heart still feels it, especially if you're the one that is handling security. So there are people that actually sit behind some systems that we call SIM and SAW systems. So those are systems that basically, I think, let me just explain the SIEM and SOC. So when we talk about SIEM systems basically think basically they are just security information and event management systems. Okay, so people sit behind those systems and then they look at what is happening within their organization. When there is a data breach or there is going to be a data breach, they are alerted, or maybe something is happening which is quite weird to the system. They are alerted about such events. So an event in a system is anything that is occurring within the system. So when there is an event, a possible breach, or anything that is out of the ordinary, they get an alert concerning such things. So they sit behind the systems, the SIEM systems, security information and event management systems. They sit behind such systems and then they watch those things. Now, if you are someone who is handling the security of a company and then you realize that your company is under attack, the first thing that will disturb you is your heart. Your heart will disturb you. That's why I actually placed this thing over here. When we came for the first class, I was explaining vulnerabilities and I spoke about vulnerabilities being a weakness. And I said vulnerabilities pose a threat, and threats are potential events. So a potential event of something bad happening, right? So that is a threat. Then we talked about an exploit, and we said an exploit actually takes advantage of a weakness. So you begin to use the system as the system becomes a puppet in your hand. So you are the puppet master, or the attacker is the puppet master, and he's controlling the system in whatever means possible. Great. Now, when a person who is in love has actually been exploited, you realize that even at that aspect, I'm trying to break things down to the minimum level so that we know exactly what you are coming to do. So even at that aspect, even at that minimum aspect where, okay, it's actually not a minimum aspect because emotions are actually a huge thing to consider. So even at that aspect where emotions are being exploited, the first thing that happens to a person is the heart actually feels something. So the end result of any attack at all is your heart feeling something and a heart attack. So once you're coming to get into attacks, I want us to understand that no matter what you do, there is always a fight. No matter what you do, there is always a fight. Whether you actually know it or not, there is always a fight. Now, most of us are actually using our phones. You don't know that, okay, I think everybody should know this particular thing. Every single moment whilst you are doing something on your phone, there is someone that is seated somewhere. And as for that person, his job is just to make sure that their system is not breached, so that you would have a form of privacy, not actually a form, but privacy, so that you can do whatever you want to do. Now, this person's role is to fight against attackers. So that is his role, to sit down and then fight against attackers. But also, your role as a person is to actually help this person fight against the attackers. So every single moment there is a fight ongoing. But then the whole concept of cybersecurity is actually like how will I put it? It is actually very funny because it is trying to also prevent attacks from happening. But the approach by which it prevents attacks is by also attacking in a defensive manner. I hope it actually makes sense. So they are trying to prevent attacks, but the attacks that they are preventing are being attacked in a defensive manner. So always there is an attack and a defense. There is an attack and a defense. So you realize that you hear of things like firewalls, you hear of things like yeah, basically let me just use firewalls as an example. So you hear of firewalls that are protecting systems and protecting whatever servers and all of that, and they are protecting whatever against networks that are out of the ordinary from hitting their system. So you will be hearing things of that sort, and you get to know that, yeah, this is what is actually going on behind the scenes. So the whole concept of cybersecurity is to actually prevent attacks from happening. Or when we talk about defense, basically, it's trying to prevent any form of attack from happening. But get to understand that no system is 100% secure. No system is 100% secure. And there will definitely be a system that will be breached. There will definitely be a system that will be breached. The most secure system in the world is actually not 100% secured. And a person that is persistent enough would have the luxury of actually breaking into that system and being the first ever person to break into that system. There is no system that is 100% secure. Your phone, normally you hear people saying that, oh, iPhones are very secured, iPhone are secured, iPhones are, no, iPhones can be exploited. Now, most of you don't know that the iPhones, you normally take them to, people do something called jailbreaking. They do something called jailbreaking. They do something called jailbreaking. I was about to show you what a person can actually do with jailbreaking. Let me actually show you something in that manner. We are not going to go much into it, but let me demonstrate something. So it's going to take quite a while. So whilst we are doing all of that, let me just, so iPhones actually, a lot of people don't like to pay for the services that come with iPhones. You hear people making statements like, what, something like, for iPhones you would have to pay for Apple Music, you'd have to pay for this music, you'd have to pay for that music, you'd have to pay for iCloud, you have to pay for blah 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 blah. So iPhone users, some of them go for something that is called jailbreaking, and in the concept of jailbreaking, they would have access to everything they want to have access to without actually making payments for it. Now, I told you last time that a person can actually run an Nmap scan. So when you actually run an Nmap scan, there are versions of Nmap scans that can be run. I'm not going to go deep into that. I don't think this thing is actually showing on your screens. I've shown. If I continue, can you see an Nmap scan already run, or maybe Nmap-help? Can you see that on your screen? If you can see that, please send me a mail. Okay, I think no. Yeah, it's not showing. The network is actually very terrible today, so I'm finding it difficult. I'm using my phone to talk. The laptop is delaying a bit. You still can't see it, right? It's still not showing. I can actually see the screen shared on my phone, and I see that it's not showing. So I think it's still not showing. Oh, okay. So let me just explain. I was explaining the concept of jailbreaking. So what they go and do is that I will not demonstrate that. Let me just talk about it. They go and break into the system, and then after breaking into this, I think it is showing now. Okay. Yeah, it is showing now. It is showing now. It is showing now. Okay. So now what they do is to run. So if I'm going to run this is what I'll do on that system. I'll run an Nmap scan that will take care of it will have this option as SV, that it will probe open ports to determine service or version info. So just like last time that I was running an Nmap scan, and then I decided to see the ports that are open. Now, a jailbreak, iPhones actually don't have the SSH open. SSH is always closed in an iPhone. But when you run an Nmap scan against networks, and that is networks that you've actually found around, and you find an IP that they tell you that for that particular IP, it is the information that they give you, the version information they give you, or the service information they give you, or whatever information they give you is showing you that you are finding an iPhone. They'll state the name of the device. So they'll show you the device name, that is an iPhone. So you've seen an iPhone, and then you look at the open ports. I'm giving you free iPhone hacking advice. If you see an open port, you see the open ports that are listed, and you see an SSH open port. Now, what that means is that for this particular iPhone, it went through the process of jailbreaking, and as a result of jailbreaking, a person can actually do something like SSH root at. Then the person will state the SSH root at the person's IP. Let me say 192.147.45.3, something like this. Then when the person does something of this sort, there's nothing like this, so it will not work anyway. We are not testing the real world system. When you do something of this sort, it will require that you enter a password. We are not going to get anything of that sort for this particular one, because the IP is not even something I can ping. So you will not see something of that sort. But I'm showing you what would happen if you actually do something of that sort. So SSH root at 192.147.45.3. When you see something of this like this, it will ask you for password. Now, if you are actually targeting this system, the password will be Alpine. This will be the password always. This will be the password always. So you would always get access to a system. I think I should close this particular one. Yeah. So you see this is the password that you use to actually get access to the person's system. And when you get access to the person's system, you can do whatever you want to do with the person's system. Now, I'm wondering why I even started explaining this whole Alpine stuff. Now, you see, this is something that a lot of iPhone users don't know. So people will go and pay for people to jailbreak their system so they can use unlimited iCloud services, unlimited Apple Music services, and all of that. But it is actually very terrible. You shouldn't, if you're an iPhone user and then you've done something of that sort, you are at a risk of being hacked. You are at a great risk of being hacked. So please, please, and please, and please, it's either you go and swap that phone or you buy a new one. Yeah. So basically, let's come back to what I was saying. I've actually forgotten exactly what I was talking about before we went into the iPhone stuff. So let's understand that the whole concept of attacks and defense is that there is a system of people that are sitting down trying to attack your system, and then there's a system of people also trying to defend the system for you. But every single time that you think you are secured, you are not 100% secured. Exactly, that's what actually brought this whole iPhone stuff. Great. That's what brought this whole iPhone stuff. Now, no system is 100% secured, so you can actually sit down behind your house and then have full control of someone's system just because you understand how to go about it. You see, most of us don't take our security seriously. We'll talk about an attack very soon, and then I'll demonstrate that either today or tomorrow based on how my system actually fails. We'll demonstrate that today or tomorrow. We'll talk about an attack very soon. And most of us are actually very liable to this particular attack. But then let me leave that for now. Okay, let's just jump into the attacks for now. Now, one of the oldest attacks that has been for quite a while now is called the brute force attack. Let me just I don't have a slide for that one. I explained to you guys that I actually traveled, I came back late. So just hear me. It's a brute force attack. I think I can just give a new slide and then write whatever it is, so you see what I'm talking about. So we are talking about a brute force attack, all right? So we have a brute force attack. Now, when we talk about a brute force attack, let me give you a perfect example of something that is a brute force attack that's maybe we've all experienced, or maybe will be more relatable to all of us. Now, imagine that you have okay, not imagine. You've all watched, I'm sure about 90% of people on this particular call have watched a movie that had to do with stealing gold from a safe or something of that sort. So you've watched Money Heist, at least the most recent one that was released, this Money Heist. So the professor came up with a very good plan, and the plan included someone that would be able to know how to break a safe or something of that sort, and then they gain access to either gold or money. I forgot what exactly that they gained access to. Now, when they were doing that particular thing, they didn't actually have knowledge of what the pin for that particular safe was. So they had to rely on the trial and error. If you've watched some movies that actually show how safes work, some safes work, they show you that when you actually try for some time, based on a number of attempts, they actually lock you out, or the system will just lock everybody out for a number of time. Now, you see that what they were trying to do was actually perform a brute force attack. They were performing a brute force attack because, firstly, it is a trial and error method. You don't actually have an answer to breaking into the system. You don't have a prior knowledge of actually what exactly is maybe the pin or the password to the system. You just actually know that there are a number of possible combinations that you can actually do. So the whole concept of brute force attacks actually rests on permutations of some sort. You don't actually have full ideas. You are just trying out certain permutations to see whether this thing would actually source or not source. So let's come to, I don't actually understand betting, but betting also works something of this sort. So you realize that people actually sit down and then they try to do something like a trial and error method. So these people who win at this particular home, at this particular by this number of home and away. I don't really know how betting works, but you get the whole idea. I think those who bet actually get the idea. It's a trial and error thing. and it is based on permutations and probabilities. You don't actually know exactly what is happening. Now, a perfect example will also be when you actually see a fight between, let's say in SHS, you guys went for this particular competition, and within the competition they said you are supposed to actually fight, you are supposed to have a particular fight, or you saw two people having a fight between each other, and the thing that you heard was that one guy, let's say Dennis bet Bright that when Bright can figure out his weak points by fighting him and overpowering him, he Dennis would give Bright 1,000 Ghana cedis. So now Bright is now coming to find all sorts of moves that he can use against Dennis to sort of overpower Dennis and pin Dennis down so that he can get his money. Now Bright doesn't actually know what exactly would work. So every single knowledge or fighting that is, or any move at all that is within Bright's database, basically in his mind or in his system, he uses that particular thing to actually sort the fight. So he will start somewhere, try a particular move, sees that this particular move is not working, then you try another one. You try another one, try another one, try another one. Now, you realize that the more he's trying it, the more he tries a particular move, doesn't work, he tries another one, it doesn't work, he tries another one, it doesn't work, and he continues trying until he actually finds a particular move that works. So you realize that from all that I've spoken about so far, for brute force attacks, they are extremely time consuming. Now, it is also dependent, a brute force attack actually works on the length of whatever key that is being cracked. So for a safe, you realize if it is four pins, the person that is actually, or four alphabets or whatever in the password, the person that is actually trying to attack that particular system, he will not have a lot of time. You will not have a lot of time spent on trying to break that safe than someone that actually has about 16 characters. So this is the reason why you actually listen to people, and then people will tell you that when you are using passwords, let it be a bit lengthy. Now, length is actually important to an extent. Length actually gives you more security, because for me to actually sit down and go through several permutations just to break your system, it is time consuming. But get to understand that there are actually tools that take care of permutations. Let me give you an example. Let's say there is a password that contains just about 2 characters. Okay, 2 characters, 2 characters each. There's a password that contains about 2 characters. Your Gmail password. This is very much unlikely anyway, but just for practicality's sake, let me use that. So your Gmail password contains 2 characters. So your Gmail password contains 2 characters. Okay. Now those characters, let's say it can either be alphabets, and we see alphabets are 26. And then those 26 alphabets can actually be lower or upper. Now, when it is lowercase, then it means that 26 of them. If it is uppercase, then it is 26 of them. So we basically have 52 of this stuff. So we have 52 of characters that can be found within a password. So your Gmail password contains 2 characters. We are clear to this point. A Gmail password contains 2 characters. Now, alphabets are made up of 26 characters. Now we have a lower or a upper case stuff over here, which can be mixed too. So now we have 52 characters already. And now we have also either numbers or, okay, we have numbers. Now for the numbers, there are 10 characters within numbers. We have 0 to 9, so those are 10. Now, it will mean that for this password to actually be cracked, it's going to be the number of lower plus upper plus numbers, which is going to be I think 62. So 62 for just one character, because there are 2 characters. Okay, there are 2 characters. So for just the first character, we have a possibility of 52 alphabets. We have a possibility of 10 numbers. Now for these two, it means that for the second one as well, it's going to have the same thing. So it will mean that for the permutation, it's going to be 62 times 62, which is going to give us something around 38,000 3,844. So we have 3,844 somewhere of permutations. Now, someone will actually look at these things and be like, oh, that's a lot of permutations for a hacker to actually go through. Now, the hacker is not going to sit down and now try using all the alphabets one after the other. There are automated tools for stuff of that sort. We have something like Hashcat. We have something like Hydra. We have John the Ripper. We have I think Aircrack NG. I'll actually use Aircrack NG and then John the Ripper tomorrow, or probably Hydra or Hashcat, one of them. I don't really know, but we'll see how tomorrow goes. We can use any of them at any time. We have I think Loft Crack as well. We have Ncrack. We have Div. Grow. Yeah, Div Grow. These are all tools that can actually be used. These are all tools that can actually be used for this particular thing. So you actually look at all these 3,844 permutations and you'll be like, oh, that's a lot of things. But no, an attacker will sit down and use one of these things and then just attack your system. And they are actually very fast. You know, machines are very fast in processing things. So 3,844 is seconds to them. They'll crack your password within seconds. That's why it's actually good to make your passwords very lengthy. Imagine a 48 character password. They are going to use years, days. But right now, even this particular one can actually be taken care of by a cloud machine. They'll just build, they'll just actually build, they'll just spin off a cloud machine, get a very good speed, then the system would actually take care of it. It will be faster than our normal machines anyway. But also, let's for security's sake, at least let your passwords be a bit longer, because if someone actually figures how to crack your passwords, you are in trouble. I'm coming. Let me see whether Facebook also still has this feature. Let me just show something out. If it works, it works. I've not been to Facebook in a very long time. Let me see. Whose email can I use? Whose email can I use? I have to use someone. Someone please in the comments send me your email address. Okay, send me your email address. Let me check something. Because as for you, when you send yours, it will mean that you're giving consent for me to try this particular thing with your email. I've not actually tried this in a very long time, but please send your email address. Let me just check something. Okay, Phil. Okay, thank you very much. Phil. Oh, there. Are you on Facebook? Okay. Thank you. Let me see. Phil up there. So I'm trying to see something. If this thing is still there, did I type it well? Phil. Okay, BO there at gmail.com. Please enter your email or mobile number. I think it's not finding your Phil BO there. Am I typing it well? I think that's correct, right? Phil BO there. Let's see. Okay, you didn't use this for Facebook. I need someone's own with Facebook so that I see something of um, anyone can just volunteer the Facebook one for this. I just want to see something. I just want to show you something that can actually be done. So you see how people actually go through stuff of this sort. Is anyone typing? I don't have an email for Facebook, so I need one. Please send me one. I beg you, so that we can continue. Send me one. I'm waiting. Please send. Okay, Justice. I can see Justice Obeying. Justin Obeying. I think Justin Obeying 535, right? 535 at gmail.com. forgot password. I think that there was a time that Facebook was doing this particular thing where it became a vulnerability. It could actually be used against people. Just a thing. Let's see. So I'm coming up. Justice Open 535. I think they've changed. Try another way. Facebook used to do. When you say you've forgotten your password, they will tell you, they will give you the a hint where it will show the end of the password and the beginning of the password. I think right now they've changed it. I wanted to actually show you guys that. So they would give you a hint of the password, and you would right now they're just giving the number. That's actually very good. At first, they'll actually show you the hint of the um, password, because normally people actually set stuff of that sort. So I think this is actually very good. We can just continue with that. This didn't work. We can just continue with what we're doing. So normally, brute force attacks actually don't actually have any idea of whatever password that a person is using. The person is just going to trial and error, trial and error. Huh. I wanted to talk about the Facebook stuff, but let's just leave it at that. So they'll do a trial and error, trial and error, trial and error till they get access to every single. If the person actually stays for very long, the person can get access to your system, because the person is going to get a hint concerning your passwords. The whole thing about cybersecurity, as I told you guys, was that there is a need for persistence. If you are persistent enough and you are consistent enough, there is always a way that you would get access to whatever you want to get access to. Now, there is a type of brute force attack that actually deals with, I think, credential stuffing. There is something called credential stuffing. Let me just type that one, credential stuffing. So, there are data breaches. Okay, I'm going to use this person's email as something again, use this browser rather. Okay, so let me show you a place that you guys can actually be going to check whether your system was breached. Now, normally data breaches occur a lot. Data breaches occur a lot. And when we have, I think, Justice of Men, right? 535 at gmail.com. Hopefully, okay, this is not breached. Let me check another person's own Bismarck. A full, right? Bismarck a full 1000 at gmail.com. Okay, so this person's this is what you are supposed to do. I'm just going to walk you through. So now data breaches occur most of the times. Okay, so what happens is that attackers actually collect those data from breaches. They store them in files, basically, or in databases for themselves. They store them in files for themselves. And what they do is that once we talk about when we say credential stuffing, what it means is that previously known passwords and usernames from either data breaches or from whatever case it is, they are used against multiple websites, because this is one thing that we do. I'm sure the password that one of us or most of us actually use over here is the same for every single account that we've created everywhere. You see people actually go to they're creating an account with somewhere, and they use Google account. Then they'll click on the particular account using the same email and same password for the same any website at all. You're logging into LinkedIn, and for you, you use the same email and password. You're logging into Facebook, same email and password. You're logging into Twitter, same email and password. Now, what an attacker would actually do in that particular case is that they would as a result of getting information from the data breach, they know that you use this particular password and this particular email. They will target all websites that are possible for you to actually visit. So if they got the information from a Canva data breach, they would try it against Facebook, because they know that for you know, or human beings in particular, we don't like using different passwords because we don't like to stress. So you would have the same passwords running across every single thing. So for this particular person, Bismarck Afu, this is what you're supposed to do. You realize that your system is actually breached. It has been involved in 3 data breaches. Now, this is going to tell you that Canva was actually breached in 2019. In 2019, Canva was breached. In 2022, Deezer was breached, and in 2020, WhatsApp was breached. So this person, it basically shows that for Bismarck Afu, use the same password for an email for Canva, use it for Deezer, and use it for WhatsApp. Now, one thing that you would have to do now is that you have to go and change that password, and change your password. Actually, anybody can just come to havibeenporn.com and then test that for yourself. You check all your emails to see whether they've been involved in any breaches or not. There are better ways to also go about this particular thing, but this is just a free one. Nobody pays for this one, so use this one, and then you'll be fine. Now, you realize that this person was involved in the 3 steps to so they are telling the person 3 steps to better your security. Protect yourself using one password. This is just a password manager, blah blah blah. I don't really believe in password managers. They are good, but they can be breached. So try and find a way of changing your password. Now, recommendation for password changing is every 3 months. Every 3 months, you have to change your password. Every 3 months, change your password across every single thing. Change your passwords across, even if they get your email, at least your email was involved in a breach. By changing your password alone, it is fine. Now, an advice to people who love God so much and who are Christians and who are religious: please stop using Jesus Christ in your passwords. Stop using Jesus Christ. I beg you. Don't. Jesus Christ is a savior, but he will never save you from data breaches. I beg you, don't do that. There is something called a dictionary attack. And for dictionary attacks, this is what happens. Let me show you this particular one. Let me try to locate this thing. I think it's user share. Let's okay, let me just cut it so that it will not actually waste my time. Cut rockq.text. Now, this is what happens. A person creates a dictionary or creates something we call a word list. And a word list, basically, your dictionary contains probable passwords or passwords that are commonly used. So this is a word list. This is a one that comes actually with tally. So it will show you that a lot of people actually do very, very funny stuff with their passwords. It's not showing all of it right now because some actually came from the past. But using things like Jesus Christ, using things like Christian, or using your name or something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, whatever simple password that is, or things that are related to you, your birthday and your name, maybe your name and then your birthday. Those stuff, they are very much easy to breach. So please start from that. So don't be using it for your password. Let me show you. This one is even showing the end of it. I had wanted so something like this. What's your password? Then you use password. Why would you do that? You use password as your password. People actually think they are so slick by using password for their password. So they said, what's your password? You'll be like, password. Or what is your password? Forgotten password. Then people actually think they are extremely slick by doing something of that sort. No, that's actually folly. It is just someone expressing the person's folly in terms of cyber security. You are not supposed to. You should be protected. Get yourself protected. Don't use same passwords across all websites, because for someone that is going to do brute force, I'll actually demonstrate brute force attack tomorrow to you guys so that you see how it works in a live session, so that you actually know that this actually works. It's not just us talking. You don't use simple passwords like nigger. What's that? None the best. Mean crazy milk. Things like that, don't use them. Diversify your passwords. Let it be difficult. Lava sand. Like, Charlie, diversify your password. Let it be difficult. Let it be very difficult for people to hack. Even you see, if you even get a password like Honey Bear 9. It is not difficult for someone to hack. It is very difficult. It is very easy for someone that is doing a brute force attack to just use this dictionary and attack you. And they are actually very huge dictionaries. I'm coming. Let me just see into this. Let me just see whether they're not plenty this. I think there should be derb and all of that. So there are a whole lot. 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 Trying to find all the word lists that you can find over here. I think there should be an option to locate derb. Exactly. So there are a whole lot of word lists or dictionaries that are in there, but normally for this particular one, it is rock you that most people, when they're starting out, they end up using. But there are bigger ones that contain a lot of information. And for you using one of those passwords, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help your data. It's not going to help anyone around you, because once you are compromised, every single person around you can also be compromised. So please, let's pay attention to exactly. I think this is what I was looking for. I was looking for this one. So you realize there was where there was that particular rock you. Now we have Deb. Deb also has its word list, and all of these are word lists. Yeah, all word lists except the stress, bonds, and others. Those are directories or folders, as Windows actually calls it. In Linux, it's called directories. So that's a thing for you. Don't go somewhere you'll be talking about Linux and then you make the mention of directories as folders. It would act, for people that are all that into Linux, they'll see you like someone that actually doesn't know that. So you can actually cut any of this particular one and then look at it. So there are a lot of things. So people actually use very, very funny passwords for a lot of things. Don't be part of those people that use simple passwords for things. Diversify your password. Diversify your password. Like diversify your password. I'm going to show you the password for my Wi-Fi. It is not it is very long, and the reason is I know what exactly is happening. So if a person is coming to target your uh system, every single time I change it, so you can actually look at this one and then have fun with it if you want to, and you're not going to be close to me too. So I think this is it. Now, this is my password for my Wi-Fi currently. I'm going to change it once after showing you guys this particular thing. Wi-Fi cracking is not difficult. I'll show you. I would have to set up a system for that particular one probably tomorrow. I'll do that tomorrow so that we can actually see how that is also done. Wi-Fi cracking is not difficult at all. Once they get access to a word list that is good, or the person can actually write out a very good probable combination, you are in trouble. So it is good to make your Wi-Fi password difficult, because one of the things that can happen when a person actually gets access to your Wi-Fi is that there is a tool called BetterCap. Okay, if I connect to your Wi-Fi and okay, it is not on this particular one, let me just say yes and install it, so you see how it actually works. There's a tool called BetterCap, and what BetterCap does is that if I get access to your system, I can actually probe everyone that is connected to this particular system. I can actually probe their packets, whatever is happening within their system. If you are on a Zoom call, I'll see that you are on a Zoom call. If you are on if you are basically on the net, any part of the net, I can see what you are doing based on how I'm able to configure something called HSTS hijacks, blah blah blah. We'll look at that tomorrow. There is something like that that we would have to look into. If I'm able to downgrade the connection from HTTPS to HTTP, there is issue for you. So don't be connecting to public Wi-Fi. That is also something, by the way. Don't be connecting to public Wi-Fi. You see your Wi-Fi open and then you just connect to it. You go to schools right now and then every single corner of the room, people are connected to the same Wi-Fi. If you are hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Okay. If you have malicious people on that same network as you, my goodness, they can continually send you packets that are very. Oh, okay. You can't see my screen. I think the network is off. The network is off. It will start sharing again. It will start sharing again. I hope. I hope so. If you have, if you're connected to the same Wi-Fi, I beg you, I beg you, and I beg you, and I beg you, please find a way of helping yourself out because it's not good. If you find someone that knows how to capture the packets from your system, the person can do whatever he wants to do with your system. Oh my goodness. Someone just sent me a message saying that my Wi-Fi has been hacked. No, you cannot hack my Wi-Fi from afar. Wi-Fi hacking only occurs when you are close to the system. So yeah, a few people actually know me on the call, others don't. So I can get direct messages from those few people. Please, can you see my screen now? Please, can you see my screen now? No, you still can't see it. Okay, I'm coming. What about now? It's still not showing. Okay, it's about it's okay. It's still not showing. It's still not showing. It would come in about. Okay, I think you can see it now, right? Okay, great. So now there is a tool called BetterCap, right? Like I said, let me see whether it is sudo BetterCap. Let me see. So this is a particular tool. Now, what this particular tool can do is, let me just type help. Now, what this particular tool can do is that it can actually see there is something called probe. When you have to probe into something, probing into something basically means that you are putting your nose into that particular thing. You want to know exactly what is happening, right? You want to actually investigate into that matter. So now we are on the same network. We are all on the same network. Now, what I can do with this particular thing is now let's say that we all don't know how BetterCap works. Okay, let's say we don't know how BetterCap works. So the next thing you can do is you look at all of this and just search a net dot help net.probe. Now it is telling you that it will give you an information about uh this particular option that you just choose net.probe. You can use it for any of these ones, any .proxy, API.rest. I just choose net.probe because I want us to understand what we are doing. So I said probing basically means you want to investigate a matter. So basically you want to investigate which systems are on my network at the moment. You want to see something of that sort. Okay. Now to do something of that sort, you have to set net.probe on. There are other options, but you're not going to do something like that. So you see start network host probing in background. So net.probe on. If we do something of this sort and we type help again, you see that now it is saying net.probe is on. Now it's saying net.recon is also on. Remember, I spoke about information gathering or reconnaissance. So basically, net.recon actually does reconnaissance for you. It's going to see which networks are which staff are actually connected to the same network. So now if I do something like net.show, it's going to show all the things that are connected to this network and it will give you the name of the vendors. So now it's telling me that VMware is connected to the same network, VMware is connected to the same network, VMware is connected to the same network. You can, so if you're on a public network, you will find a lot of staff connected to this. And if you find a lot of staff connected to this same network, then you can just pick their IP. Then you come to you pick their IP. Then you come to something like ARP. Let me just show you help ARP. We'll talk about that another time. But let me show you this ARP or spoof. Now, what ARP or spoof? Or I'll have to explain man in the middle attack, which I don't want to do right now. But let's just look at it. Now, what ARP.proof does is that you remember I told you guys that there is a way for a person to actually tell a server that he is the client that is requesting for something. and then he will tell the client that he's the server that is giving the information to the client. So the client will be able to send an information to the attacker's machine that is in the middle of both the client and the server. Remember that conversation? Come in, let me use this particular thing to explain that, so that we look at something like that. Let me use shapes, okay? So let's say this is a client. Shapes, okay. Let's say this is a client. This is the client, and then we insert another shape, and this is the server. Now, oh, what sort of shape is this one too? Okay, so there's the server. Bear with me. Now, what will happen is that what can I use? Okay, let me use this one. This is the attacker machine. So this is the client, this is the server, this is the attacker machine. Now, at first, this is how things are supposed to happen, okay? Things are just supposed to hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Okay. So now this is how the communication is actually supposed to go. In the normal, this is how it's supposed to go. The sender, or this is the client. The client sends an information to the system or to the server, telling the server that I want something from you. Then the server will also reply to the client saying that, okay, you can receive this thing from me. Now, this whole thing is done by a protocol called ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. So the Address Resolution Protocol, basically what it does is that, or this particular thing, what it does is actually that it takes someone's address, or the IP. Every IP has a MAC address. Every IP has, or every system actually has a MAC address. So MAC addresses don't change. So now what will happen is that if I'm sending information from this particular system to this particular system, I would send it with my public IP, and this would also feed me back using my IP. Now, what I can do, or an attacker can do, is that you would actually come in, or what is happening? What an attacker can do is that you'd actually come and sit between these protocols and tell the system that I am, so it will spoof the IP of this particular one. I'm coming. So IP, let me see, 192.168.32.1. Then, so I'll show you all of this into details tomorrow, so that you see actually how this thing works in live something. So let me see. Okay, this one should go back a bit. Okay. Okay. So what will happen is that the attacker would come and tell the system that I am one. It will tell the client that I am 192.168.32.1. Oh no, this let me change this. Dot 44.3. It will tell the system that I am 192. It will tell the client. This is the client. It will tell the client that, okay, I just learned that this screen something is lagging. God, how did I solve this? The network is actually very terrible today. I don't know how to go about that. Please, can you see what is happening now? Okay, so let's say this is the client. So this is the client, right? And that is server. And this is the attacker. So an attacker also has an IP, okay? But what the attacker will do is that the attacker will tell the client that I am this. So it will actually spoof this particular person's IP. I'll show you all of that tomorrow, how it is done. It would come here and then pick this particular, yeah, okay. It will come and pick this particular person's IP and then make it his own. So the client will be seeing this particular one as the server. I think most because of the lagging issue, I'm just going to stop it with this particular one so that I would show. My goodness. So it will come and tell the system that It will tell the system that it is 192.168.44.3. So any information that will come out from this particular person in terms of requesting something, he would send it to this attacker machine. Now, the attacker machine would also tell the server. The attacker machine will also tell the server that it is 192.168.32.1. So this particular server would be seeing the attacker as 192.168.32.1. It's still lagging, I think so, because I just highlighted something and then I can't even see it being highlighted. That's bad. 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 It's making the thing difficult for me myself. But I hope the concept is actually clear. Where, okay, so let me use it in terms of human beings. Let's say we have Joshua, uh, Kelvin, and Abel. So Joshua, Kelvin, and Abel. Now, Joshua is very close to Abel, and Joshua can actually request for information from Abel without anyone actually interrupting the conversation. Maybe they are discussing something that is very confidential. So Joshua will send a message to Abel, or just walk to Abel and then tell Abel that this and this and that and that and that. And Abel will also give a response to Joshua. Now, in this particular case, what Kelvin will do, Kelvin is jealous of their information and wants to actually hear what they are saying. So what Kelvin will do is that Kelvin will come and stand. One day, Kelvin will dress as Joshua, do facial makeup like Joshua, and go to Abel and tell Abel that this and this and that and that and that is what has happened. And Abel will now give information to Kelvin. Now, Kelvin will also go to Joshua and dress as Abel. So you get it. So in this particular case, Kelvin is dressing as both Joshua and Abel, but it will be dependent on who he's communicating with. So if Kelvin is talking to Joshua, Kelvin will dress as Abel and do makeup as Abel. But when he's talking to Abel, he will dress as Joshua. That's actually what happens with ARP spoofing. So what a person can actually do with that attack is that when we come over here, can you see the screen share? It's actually disconnected totally. It's not showing. Oh my goodness. That's actually lag. I wanted to show you something in that particular aspect where you see the ARP spoof. It's not going to work anyway, but I just wanted to explain that particular aspect. But okay. So I think it just showed in a certain sense. So when you actually set this ARP spoof on, you would be able to gather information about a particular target. You are supposed to set certain targets anyway, but we will not do that today. You set a target that is the IP of whoever you are targeting, and then you just do ARP spoof on. Then it begins to, so when the target is sending information online, it will be coming to your system, and there are ways to, HTTP is actually going to come as an encrypted text, but there is a way to actually downgrade that based out. I'll demonstrate that tomorrow. And HSTS, there is something also HSTS. HSTS is more like it makes HTTPS more secure than how HTTPS is in its original form. There is a way to actually downgrade HTTPS, but HSTS makes it quite difficult to downgrade HTTPS. We'll look at all of that deeply in our course. We'll not actually dive much into it right now, but we'll look at all of that deeply in our course. So this just us talking about brute force attacks alone. I've actually not even jumped to the other attacks I wanted to talk about. So it's important that you actually protect yourself in various ways. Don't connect to popular and open Wi-Fi just because it is open. Please painstakingly buy data for yourself. I beg you. Painstakingly buy data for yourself. You just feel better when you know that you are using your own data for a lot of things than being on a network that is open. I was telling a friend of mine that the universities, some of them don't know such things, because if you are writing exams, right? You're writing exams, and with the exams, everybody is on the same network that is open in. So right now, I realize that most schools are actually using the online version for their exams. So you would connect to the school's Wi-Fi. Then we would go to I think, what's that the name of that exam stuff even? I've forgotten, but that exam stuff that people were trying to find ways around. You would go to that particular one, and in a particular way, we are okay. We have V class. There is another one. I've forgotten the name of the one that UMAT has used for quite a while now. So UMAT has this particular one they've been using. I've forgotten the name. So you connect to the network. Everyone has connected to that particular network. Safe browser, exactly. That's the name, safe browser. So safe browser, they'll connect to safe browser, and that safe browser stuff, everybody has gone over there. Now, as a result of connecting to that stuff, and we are connected to the same network, if I'm actually an invigilator, I will actually not force myself to do much with looking at people's faces in the exam hall and all of that. I'll just open my machine, connect to the same network. Then I'll begin to monitor every single thing that is occurring from each machine. The IPs are going to show. So the IPs are going to show. So I'm just going to look at every single system. Then I'll be seeing what every single person is doing. So if you open another tab and you go to a particular web page, it will show. Then I know that you are actually visiting this particular web page. So I'll just send an information to the IT unit or people that actually handle the computers and all of that, and they would block access to this particular IP from connecting to the networks and all of that. I'll just block the IP, and that's all. That's all. That's all. If I block your IP from connecting to the network and I block your IP from accessing the network, there is no way your system will go off, and then you raise your hand and call me, the invigilator, and tell me that you are not able to access the Wi-Fi anymore. Neither are you able to go to the exam page to actually continue your exams, and that is just going to show you that you failed. Stuff of that sort. I've been saying that schools don't actually know such things because they should be doing more harm to students than how they actually are handling stuff right now. Anyway, maybe I'll just suggest it to them. How about VPN apps that allow people to use free data by importing config files? First off, if you are using a VPN that is free, please find a way to get one that is paid for. But then, in this particular instance where if you're asking the question in relation to my IP stuff that I'm talking about, it will be very difficult for a person to actually find your IP if you are connected to a VPN. If you're connected to a VPN whilst connected to that particular Wi-Fi, it will actually be quite ridiculous to find your machine and then hurt you that deeply. I see. A friend just sent me a message saying that one guy tried to cheat in UCC by writing his exams outside the IT lab. He was caught because of the IP address and also the network he was on. That's how things actually work. But hey, the answer I gave you, it doesn't mean that you should actually go and try that. Or anyway, don't try that. Don't try that. Okay. Now let me go back to one last attack and then we can bring it to the end for today. But tomorrow I'll actually demonstrate 4 different attacks. I'll demonstrate 4 different attacks. I wanted to talk about 4 different attacks today, but I can't talk about 4 different attacks. But I'll demonstrate 4 different attacks tomorrow. So there is one attack that is actually very popular, and most of us have actually heard of that, and it is phishing. Yes. Imagine imagine that you can hear me, right? Because I just realized that my machine says no connection. But can you hear me? Okay, okay, okay. So now imagine that you have an uncle that is a very good fisherman, and right now he decided to go to just a very peaceful place or this particular lake or wherever he visits to go and catch fish, and he decides to go there. Then you decided to follow him, and in your attempts to follow him, you guys decided to go and pass by a particular bar, you ate and then had fun and all of that. That's when you got to the place where your uncle was actually trying to do the fishing thing. He was telling you about the particular fishing rod that he was using, or hook and line, or whatever they called it. He was telling you about that, and he was telling you about how precious that particular fishing rod is to himself, how it was passed down from generations to generations and generations to generations, like a treasure for the family. So he will be giving it to his son. And you were there, and then you actually loved the idea, you were proud of the whole family story. But then you realized that there was someone around you guys, and the person was listening to this particular story. Now this particular um fishing rod actually has a price on it, a sort of bounty on it. It is actually very expensive. Let's say it is one of those um, 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 artworks that people actually go and pay huge sums of money for. So let's say your uncle actually just owns this very huge stuff that a lot of people have been looking for, and he's just telling you about how it came about the family, but it's a fishing rod. So you guys are seated over there, and then there was a guy that was listening to the conversation while he was also um uh, uh, um while he was also fishing. So he was fishing and listening to the conversation. Now he decided that to become very friendly with you guys and started talking. So he started asking your uncle about the whole thing. And your uncle to you, because he loves that fishing rod, he just went on and on and on and on and on and on talking about the fishing rod. So now you realize that I told you guys that there is, anytime a person is going to get vulnerable, or anytime a system is going to get vulnerable, the concept behind that is trust. Anytime trust is established within a system, it is almost always vulnerable. So this particular time, your uncle and this particular guy were just having conversation about fishes, types of fishes, and then started talking about rods, types of rods, and this particular rod. Now he was already showing interest in fishing. So he was already showing interest in fishing. So you think that, oh yeah, he really has a point to actually join you guys for this particular fishing thing, knowing that he has very malicious intents. And whilst you guys were having the conversation, he uses social engineering, human hacking, to basically get familiar with you guys and attain a sense of credibility among you guys. Now, you realize that in this particular process, you were looking at his eyes, and his eyes was just going straight. I'm giving you scenarios that can be very easy to understand, so that's when I talk about this particular thing. Okay, so he started, his eyes were looking straight at the fishing rod. Then he told your uncle that, oh, since it is this particular thing, and then it's like the two of you have actually sort of established this trust within you guys, that yeah, you are lovers of fishing fishing, yeah, basically. Your uncle, he asked your uncle for the rod. He asked your uncle to give him the rod, and your uncle actually just gave him the rod because well, he has become my friend, he also loves fishing, so why not give him the rod so that he will just try doing that particular fishing. Now your uncle is old and cannot run, and you can actually run, but you are not fast enough to catch up with this man. So get the idea. The person actually gets hold of this particular fishing rod and runs away with the fishing rod. What happened in this particular case was that the person tried to deceive you guys by using means that are sort of stuff that are interesting to you guys. The person used that idea to actually gain access to you guys. The whole concept in cybersecurity is actually phishing. I'm going to type it because my screen has decided, my hotspot has decided to mess up. I can't connect to the hotspot to actually share my screen. So the whole concept behind this particular thing is phishing. And this phishing is not FISHING. It is PISPHISHING. So phishing in the sense of sending links. So you realize that there are YouTube links that people send to people. I actually wanted to show you guys something of that sort today. It's not going to work, but well, my goodness. Let me see. So they'll send you very malicious links or whatever. They will send you links, maybe a YouTube. If you're a YouTuber, they will send you a message and say that your YouTube account is about to be logged right now due to this particular video that you posted. Log in right now. Log in right now. YouTube will not send you something of that sort. Now, one of the ways to actually spot a phishing link is to hover over whoever has sent the information. You may see YouTube at the top there, but hover over YouTube. Always the email would give the person out. I'm giving you free advice for this particular one. Always the email will give the person out. Now, they actually work on, they try to hack most people by using very, very popular things that human beings can succumb to. One, naivety. When you don't actually know what security is all about, or when you don't actually have any idea about something, then they'll try to use that thing against you. Another thing, curiosity. You want to see exactly what this thing is about. So you see a message, and then in the message they tell you that how will I put it? They tell you something like, click on this link to have 10,000 followers on Twitter. Then you click on it, and then it takes you to a very good page. Like the page actually shows every single thing that Twitter will show you when you are going to log into Twitter. It will show you that same thing. Then it will tell you to log in into that particular page. Then you also go and give out your information on that particular page. What will happen to you is that it is going directly to the attacker. He just used phishing against you. So you are curious to get to know how many attackers you how many followers you can get on Twitter and stuff of that sort. It is very much good to always pay attention to all these things. Now, a lot of people say when these emails are sent, they are scared to open them. No, it's not bad to open the email. Open the email. But when it is time to click on the link, please, it's not even okay. Sometimes it is bad to click on the link based on whatever the person has configured the link to be, but at least hover over the link, because every single time that you hover over the link, it is going to give you an information about where that thing is redirecting to. So you see that they'll write www.youtube or login, but when you hover over that login, you see that it is going to a site that is very much weird. You've never even seen that site before. So please pay attention to this very little things. It is if you don't pay attention to this kind of things, that's when you start losing your very, very small I'm trying to show us this particular, and I'm trying to log in so that at least I can show this thing. Let me show you an easy way with how this thing can be done. It's not going to be extremely valid in this particular sense, but you'll just see how it's going to be done. So can you see my screen? Okay, it's not here. Okay, it's showing now. Now there is a particular tool. This tool is not going to work in this particular sense, but just watch. I think it is in. Is this in opt tools? Okay, I think there is a folder called zfisher. Okay, bash zfisher. Sudo. Sudo bash zfisher. Now, this is a way that some of them actually work. Okay, there are better ways to go about this, but for some people, this for people who are actually beginning, they use things like this to do stuff of that sort. So you realize that over here it is showing that there are a number of things that you can use to actually trick a person. So it can create, by selecting a number, it will create a Facebook link or a Facebook page that you can actually use to do your phishing things. So Facebook, Instagram, Google, Microsoft, Netflix, PayPal, Steam, Twitter, whatever you want to choose. So let's say in this particular case, a lot of people are actually using TikTok right now. So imagine that I'm an attacker that wants to hack someone. And I know that in Ghana, there is someone called Peggy Lamte. If you actually follow TikTok and those things, I am not on TikTok, by the way, but I realize that Peggy Lamte, I think, Friend, and some few people, they are very much popular on TikTok. So imagine I create a fake account where I create, actually, this is even going to be very much simple. So let me give you all the heads up, okay? I create a Gmail account and I actually name it Print. and then Prince whatever or Peggy Lamptey with just something changed a bit about it, and then I decide to I decide to create this particular thing, and you know that I'm popular on TikTok, so I send you a message and I've chosen TikTok. That's the thing, number 10. So I send you the message and then I be like, I want to collaborate with you, so will you mind clicking on this particular link to take you to my TikTok page or whatever. I don't know whether you can send messages via TikTok anyway, but to connect to my TikTok page or connect to me via my blah blah blah. I just tell you something of that sort. Log in and then let's be friends. We'll be mutual. We'll share in this particular thing. And because you actually love that lady and you are curious to know how deep this particular thing can be, you just click on the particular link and then it takes you there and then you log in. Now let's see what this thing is going to do. I'll show you something. By yep, this thing is actually messing up. So something of this sort. This link is just sent to someone. It's not going to work in this particular case anyway. So let me just see. So the link like this is sent to the person. Let's say it is any one of us. So it is sent to the person and the person is like, oh, if you actually do this particular thing, this and that and that and that and that is what is going to happen. And you actually follow the prompts, something like this. I don't think it's going to come for this particular one. It's not going to come anyway because I didn't set a port for it. So just get to the point. So you open the whole TikTok thing and then you log in. Now the person has your information. So these tools sometimes work to an extent. They do work, but normally they don't work. There are better ways to go about this phishing thing. And for that particular advanced one, I'll teach it in our course to come. So this is just to show you that these things actually work. People actually get stuff of this sort. You see a link that is like this. Pay attention to the link. What is is.gd slash? Pay attention to the list, the link, at least pay attention to the link, because the link would have something malicious about it. For beginners, that is. But for people that are advanced, there are ways of masking it. I'm not going to show that in this particular one. There are ways of masking your link so much that it will look extremely real. Like so much real that if the person doesn't really pay close attention, the person will not see. That one is not for this particular course. Now, so pay attention to things like emails that come to you and giveaway. Click on this link and you've been selected to win 50 iPhones, or you've been selected to win an iPhone. Click on the link, they send you SMS. That SMS type of phishing is called smishing. That is SMS phishing. So it's smishing. They will send you a message and then they'll be like, you've won, you are eligible for a car. You've not done anything, no. You've not registered for anything. Then how did you just become eligible for a car? You just became eligible for a car some way, somehow. Then they'll tell you, click on this particular link. And human beings, because we want good things, we want shortcuts to things, the person will just go and say, click on that particular link, and it will be like, input your number, input your name, input this and that and that. Then the person will also go and do the same thing. That is you selling your information. You've sold your information. Why is it that after inputting all of that, you never had any updates concerning the car? Because now the person has every information of yours and the person can be using it for anything at all. Now there is something called spear phishing as well. So what I just talked about the SMS one is smishing. There is something called spear phishing. Now spear phishing, let's say on campus, you guys had a very popular person. The person is extremely rich, and people actually love the person and then all of that. But personally, the person has insulted you in a particular sense. Now I'm using this particular sense because I want us to get it okay. The person has insulted you in this particular sense. So you targeted that one person and you told yourself that when you find that one person in the corner, you are going to beat that person. Now, what you were doing is you targeted the person solely out of a massive group of people. So that is using a spear. You see, a spear, when it is thrown, it is targeted towards a team. A spear is targeted towards a team. So spear phishing is trying to send links that are malicious or those kind of stuff to people to get their information, but you've actually targeted one particular person. You've targeted one particular person that you want to use the person's you want to use the phishing link to get. So pay attention to things like this, because some people may be around you and then you will be their only target. I actually did it to a friend of mine when we were in university. I did it to him. I actually told him I was going to do something of that sort to him. He didn't believe me, but I knew he was interested in AI, right? So I just sent an email to him one time. I don't know why that email should even work, because we are friends. I sent you an email. I should have sent you a WhatsApp text. Even the WhatsApp text, I would have just copied the link anyway. But I sent you an email. At least for an email, you should have the sense that uh, the boy doesn't actually send something of that sort. So why did he send something of that sort? But because it was interesting to him and it was in the field that he really enjoys. He didn't even think twice before clicking on the link. And then he went to log in and I had this information. So I went to show it to him. You see, these things are actually very fun to do, but there are very much more interesting things. Now, if fishing is targeted towards a big fish, let's say uh, a CEO of MTN, CEO of any company at all, or someone that is big and the person is actually very rich, that thing is called whale fishing. So you target your whole attack towards that one person. You target it towards that one person and try to get the person to give you the details of his accounts and all of that. So that is whale fishing. I think there are different types of fishing that we'll not talk about right now. There are other things that we can go into, but it is 8:25 and I don't want us to actually deal with all of that right now. The demonstration for most of the attacks will actually come tomorrow. I'll do a lot of attacks tomorrow, and whilst I do them, I explain them. I couldn't set up the system because, as I said early on, for those who didn't join earlier, I traveled, so I got back quite late. That's why the slides are also not ready. I got back quite late. So I just had to put some few things together. So I just plan that for today's session we'll have talks. I don't know how some few things just started showing up within it, but tomorrow will be the main thing for us to actually show what can be done. And would this particular time, I would not want us to use a real world system. If we use a real world system, we'll not be able to send you the videos because it will be very illegal. So we'll use or maybe I may seek consent from a real world system and then use that one. That one is also not bad. I may seek consent from my boss and then see whether we can actually try some things against the people in the company and then our own staff. So that at least that would be for our we'll see how it's really done for a real world system, so that it's going to be the vulnerable system. So let's see how that also goes. So please invite people to know. Okay, a suggestion. Yeah, Prince Carter, please suggest. I'm seeing. I'm all eyes actually. Yeah, so please tell people to come around tomorrow, because that's one I'll teach you guys how to go through that. But can the methods taught using the virtual system be used for real world systems? Yep, but there will be few changes for the real world systems. You can actually, you see, there was this nmap scan that I ran the last time. Come on, let me try targeting something again. Now, in the real world, let me show you something again. So you are running an nmap scan and then you do something of this sort, right? I'm not going to explain all of that anyway, so don't worry. At one time you may understand it, but just say you are running a scan to see the open ports about something. Okay. Now, running this particular attack, I think you can see it on the screen, right? It should be showing on the screen, hopefully. Yeah, running this particular attack is going to make noise within the system. So it's actually not good for an attacker to use this particular attack against a system. Running to see whether all ports, the dash p dash means that it's showing against all ports. You are trying to run the attack against all ports. It's actually not efficient to do something of this sort. You in the real world, what you will do is to specify a particular port. So let me see something like dash p 23, something of this sort, or 22. So you specify a particular port that you want to attack, and then you see whether it is open. That's what is actually good for. Um, that's actually very good for uh, 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 the reward system. But for dash P dash is actually not good for a reward system. But if you're doing something like penetration testing, dash P dash is not bad. That is to actually test whether the people that are sitting behind the SIM systems can actually tell um, whether they can actually tell whether someone is actually trying to break into the system using targeting all ports or not, because this will make a lot of noise within the system. It's just like you are sleeping in your bed peacefully, then someone has just come with about 7 um alarms, and the person is just blasting all of them straight into your ear. That is not going to be efficient. For, let's say, a thief is actually coming to break into your system, and the thief is blasting music, or you're sticking Bose speaker and then it's blasting music very loud while it's trying to break into your system. That is exactly what this thing actually does to the system. It is taking quite a while, but it's actually running. So you can see that it has run 4% here. It's not going to come right now. I'm not going to, that's not the point of this particular thing. I just wanted to show you the fact that this thing makes a lot of noise. This thing makes a lot of noise. So there are some things that you see in tutorials on YouTube and all of that. Most of the times it is just to give you basics, and there are a few tweaks to them in real life. And most of the things that you see in YouTube and the ones that they do for vulnerable systems, it's like capture the flag. There is a thing called capture the flag. It's like a game. So when we are playing that particular game, the whole thing that we want to do is to know where the vulnerability is. So uh, every step of the way has sort of been given to you. Every door is already open for you, but it doesn't work like that in real life. You'd have to do some few modifications and few changes and target some few things that you would have to sit down and study about, because the tutorials are not going to teach you that. You go and buy a course on Udemy, they will not teach you that. You go and buy a course on, you go and watch YouTube videos, they will not teach you that. But the good thing about YouTube videos and Udemy courses is that they would they would open you up to the fundamentals. At least you know that this what can be done. And also there are a lot of things that nmap can do just using nmap alone. Let me just show nmap alone. Look at all these things that nmap can do. Let me open it quite huge and then exit here. So a lot of things that nmap can do, but you realize that they'll just teach you about one port. They'll teach you about one particular command. That's what they'll teach you. Also, they don't teach you about, okay, ZenMap is not here, I have to install ZenMap. They don't teach you about the graphical interface of Nmap that you can also use. There are things like that that can make work easy for you, but they don't actually teach you. ZenMap is a graphical interface for Nmap. It actually comes with a lot of the commands that you can just decide to choose, intensive scan and all of that. There are so many attacks that you will run, you will not find them um, on YouTube or in courses. So you would have to sit down and actually read and then study for yourself. The information is there because people write books about information, but you would have to actually do some work for yourself. So you know that in Kali, when you come to Kali, anything at all that you want to know about, you can just do something like aircrack ng dash help or dash h. Then it will tell you about the application, or you can just do man aircraft ng, then to give you a description about the application, tell you how you can use it, stuff of that sort. So it's giving you the synopsis. That's how you can use the file, or how you can use the program and all of that. Those things, not everyone can teach you, but you'd have to sit down and do all those things for yourself. So it is telling you there is dash A that you can use as an option, there's a dash E that you can use as an option, and they've explained all of that over here. So the system is even teaching you every single thing by itself. So watch the videos, they are good, but you would have to do extra work for yourself. So yeah, that's it for that particular one. Any more question? Hello, how do you know the video game Watch Dogs? What do you think of the hacking done in the game? Please, I don't play games. So the sad thing about me is that when I was growing up, I was subjected to books. I wanted to start playing games, but it didn't happen. So I don't actually know how to play games. I've never played um Watch Dogs before, so I don't know what to say about that particular one. But I think the I've seen people talk about the watchdogs hacking. It is not bad. It is going to teach you. It's just like how we have try hack me and all of that. They teach you basics. Try hack me teaches you basics at least one intermediate level, and they will tell you an advanced level, which is also quite well. It's not 100% anyway, but well, it is. You learn few things. You learn few things from there. You can apply those few things, but get to understand that most of the work is going to come from you. You would have to sit down and do a lot of work for yourself. So for the how will I even put it? For the watchdogs, you would actually learn some few things inside, but you would still have to learn um, a lot by yourself. You have to learn a lot by yourself. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. So someone says, Bofa says, I've actually played Watch Dogs. You won't get anything. Well, I've not played before, so that's it. And we don't have a Telegram group. We have a WhatsApp group. So I think if you've not actually been a part of the WhatsApp group, we should share the link with you. We should share that link with you so that you can join the WhatsApp group. So those on the call who haven't joined the WhatsApp group, okay, I will send him the link. I share the link to him. Okay, sure. But if there is any other person on the call who hasn't joined the WhatsApp group here, it is okay. So how do you hover over a link? You just take your cursor. Let me show you an example. Now, if I show an example, that's going to expose a lot of things. Okay, let me see. Oh, let me see. Okay, so let's go to Gmail, right? Let's go to Gmail, and we're going to log in into Gmail. So let's just log in into Gmail. So if we log in into Gmail, you'll realize that okay, you realize that let's say this is okay. So this one asks for this one. It's not even now. Okay, for this particular one, it's even showing over here. Now look at something. Let's say this is the link that was sent. Okay, so Google account, blah blah blah. So you click on it over here. Pay attention to what happens at the bottom. So pay attention to what happens at the bottom, as in the side here, this side. So pay attention to. Oh, you guys can't see my screen, right? My goodness. It's still showing this particular screen, but I've actually moved to a different screen. Oh, this isn't easy. Oh. Please just wait for a few minutes. So, okay, but let me just talk about it. Now, when you go to, when an email is sent to you and you are supposed to click on a link, whenever you take your cursor close to that particular link, you would actually see that the link is showing how will I put it? The link will show something down on your screen where it will be redirected to and all of that. Now, when you see that it's not being redirected to google.com or whatever stuff that they are saying it is, please just don't click on it. Now, someone will ask that what if there is what if you are using a phone? Now there are tools out there that will show you where a link is being redirected to. So I think let me find one. Forgotten the name of this particular. So there is one called redirect checker. So you can even use redirect checker. You just copy that particular link. You are not clicking on the link, or please copy it and just go and place it inside the redirect checker stuff. Then it will show you where that information will be going into, or where that particular link will be going to. If it is safe, then you can actually just click on it. So that's just it, by the way. Any more questions? Can we get the name of the application you would be using tomorrow so we can set up and follow along while you do the practical aspect? Honestly, I don't know which one I'll be using tomorrow. See, there are a lot of things out there, and I've actually not set up a virtual hacking stuff for a very long time now. I have virtual Kalis, but I've not had one that I actually do testing on, because I try to always test real world systems. So I don't know which one I would actually look for right now, but I know there are a lot on GitHub. So what I'll do is that if you're on the page, I'll let Bright get that information by 10 a.m. I have a program this evening, so I'll be I'll be off. So by 10 a.m. I'll let him know which ones I would use. So if you would want to set it up, you can set it up and then follow along as I do whatever I'll be doing. So yeah, I hope that is cool, JT. Okay, okay. Any more questions? Please feel free to ask any question. I'll take another question and then we can end today's session. I hope actually today's session was a bit interesting. I wanted to show a lot, but I couldn't show a lot. I couldn't do a lot too. Personally, I'm very tired. Yeah, if for the movie Mr. Robot is the most realistic hacking movie out there, every person that wants to actually be a hacker should actually watch it. And the funny thing is, every command that they actually use in the movie is actually very realistic. But the only problem with the movie is that there are some things that they had to speed up because it is movie. You can't wait for every single moment. And some things that they actually did, it will not work in real life, not as in the commands, but some of the actions that they took in the movie. They will not work in real life, but it's just giving you a sense. So when you actually watch Mr. Robot is going to be very boring to a lot of people because they are just watching it and then they'll be like, what is happening? What is happening? But actually, Mr. Robot is the most complete hacking movie that is out here in the world. There is no other movie that is as realistic as Mr. Robot. It is very much realistic, very very much realistic. Like compared to every other movie that is there, it is very much realistic, and I actually love watching it. Elliot is a very good hacker, and they actually built a tool. I think in the movie there was one part that they built a I've forgotten the name of the company or the people that were that Elliot was part of. I've forgotten the name, but they actually had Evil Cop. No, not Evil Cop. Evil Cop. They had. So you see, the group was like F Society exactly. So they built a. There was actually a tool. There was a tool called F Society that they actually used in the movie. It's actually very much realistic. But right now, the tool has actually been. It is still there, but it's not going to do the same things as before because the U.S. government has actually called for them to actually stop giving much access to everybody to just get access to that particular tool. So the tool doesn't function as before, but you see the tool in the movie and it actually works just like that. Sometimes when you're watching that movie and then you actually know some commands and you know exactly what they're doing, you sit behind and you'll be pointing to the screen. Yeah. I actually know what is happening. So it's good to actually have a bit of basics into a few things before you watch the movie. The first time you watch the movie, it will be quite overwhelming. Second time you would enjoy it, but you would actually begin to really enjoy it when you have actually started hacking and understand what process is ongoing whilst the movie is playing out. So yeah, that's it for Mr. Robot. You can actually anybody on this call that is interested in a very good movie to watch, Mr. Robot is a very good one. Yeah. Any more questions? Okay. Five, four, three, two, one. Okay. As a beginner, intro course for a beginner Uh, intro course for a beginner. There are quite a number of them there. Oh. But honestly, I'll just tell you to go to YouTube and don't buy a course. Go to YouTube, search for the people that I mentioned. They have a lot of intro stuff. They have a lot of intro stuff. I think, let me add this last person. This last person will be the best person to actually follow for intro stuff. Hackersploit. Follow him, Hackersploit. He go to his very first videos. You would realize that he has beginner, and it's actually very good. But if you're looking for a structured thing, then go to TCM Security. Go to TCM Security on YouTube. I think they have a video for beginners. I think it is a 12-hour video. So you just said ethical hacking 12-hour. You actually see a beginner thing like that. But the thing is, we are also going to come up with a course of this sort. And as for us, at least, we'll make it as realistic as possible. We'll make it as realistic as possible. For them, they would give you the um, for them, they would give you the way people actually just handle things for vulnerable machines, but we will not take you through vulnerable machines. We'll take you through real world systems where you will start targeting things that are actually online and things that are on programs like bug bounty programs. We would actually use bug bounty programs for our course so that we would have total access to that, and will not be doing anything illegally. So I'll tell you that if you would want, you can just wait for hours to just come out. It will be at a fee, but it will be worth it. It will not be extremely expensive because we understand that most of us are students. Well, yeah, so we'll not make it expensive. It will be cheap as compared to the knowledge that you'll be gaining from the course. So you can also wait for us. I can promise you ours will be the best. When you're actually going to do the beginner course, they would actually take you through the tools to have. Definitely, you are going to either use VirtualBox or VMware. It's just you don't need VMware workstation. I think there's VMware Player, which you can use. VMware workstation, you need the license. So for our course, I would make the license available for VMware 17. I have a license, so I have about 5 of the licenses for that. So for our course, I'll make that one available. So you have the pro version of VMware, and then you have more benefits actually as compared to VirtualBox and the other ones. I actually think the best virtualization software is VMware, both the bare metal and the type 2, which we are using right now. The type 2 is this one that is on an operating system. There is one called bare metal, and that one is directly on your hardware. So we have bare metal type 1 that is directly on your hardware, and type 2 that is on your operating system. So I actually think VMware is the best, and that's exactly what we use in our course. I'll provide the license for the 17, so workstation 17. So yeah, that's it. And Prince Cat, I hope you are good. Okay. I think we can actually bring it to a close because it's already 8:47. So yeah, right. Over to you. Hello, Bright. Hello, Bright. Hello, Bright. Please, can anyone hear me? Yeah, okay. So I think Bright is not with the system at the moment. So what would happen is that tomorrow we'll actually go through the attacks. We'll go through the attacks. I'll take you guys through. I was going to talk about distributed um, denial of service attack today. I'll take you through a distributed denial of service attack. I'll take you through a denial of service attack. There are two different things. Distributed is different from denial of service. So let me just explain that before we do that tomorrow. So when we say this denial of service, it's just like how when you are doing wachi or you are going to buy wachi, you are in a wachi line and you've stayed in the line for like 30 minutes. Then you see a group of people that just walked in, and then they are plenty. About 10 people just walked in and just came to cross you guys and went straight to the front, and then they made the line longer. The more, and those 10 people, one person was representing them, and then that one person now allowed all of them to come and stay there. So they'll be like they were in the line. How were they in the line? They will tell you that that person was representing them in the line. Now you see that it is going to actually prevent you from having the service to the watcher. Now, let's get the sense where the watcher seller, all of you guys just rush to the watcher seller because you are angry that the people just crossed the line, and everybody's trying to mention her his or her order. So someone is saying watch it 5 says, another person is shouting watch it 6 says, another person is shouting watch it with egg, watch it with. So every information is just coming straight into her ear. What will happen to her is that she would be overwhelmed, and as a result of that overwhelming effect of everyone shouting, she may break down and nobody would actually get access to the food. So the service of the watcher being served, um it will be delayed, either delayed or it will not happen at all. Now that's the concept of denial of service. A lot of packets are sent to something, or a vulnerability is exploited to a point where there is no way a person can get access to something. There is a way. I'll teach you guys a way that you can actually block everyone out of your Wi-Fi, or to you can actually remove every other person from your Wi-Fi. It is actually very funny. That aspect of doing stuff is you are denying someone the service of using the Wi-Fi. So it is denial of service attack. I'll actually take you guys through something of that sort tomorrow. And then it can also be done for the website. Websites will not be live anymore. You try to access it, it's not be coming because someone is sending about 1,000 packets. No, 1,000 packets is even small. A lot of packets to that website that anytime that you want to request something, it's like you can't get access to any port at all that can give you that stuff. Can that be done on a virtual machine? Of course, it can be done on a virtual machine. So yeah, we'll do it on a virtual machine. So don't worry. I will not show you my work machine. Everything that I'm showing is on my work machine. So yeah, my work machine is far different from this. So everything I will do will be on the virtual machine. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. I think we'll go through that particular one tomorrow. We'll do a lot of attacks tomorrow, so please let's come early so we don't spend much time over here. It is 8:51 and I can actually say we've exceeded the time, and sorry for that. The session is the recorded session shall be sent to you guys. And those who didn't come early, I was saying that I would record the part 2, as in the day 2. I'll do a new recording of that particular one and send it across. So anticipate that one as well. Sure. So yeah. Okay. I think we can bring today's session to a close. Please enjoy your night. Be good. See you tomorrow. Bye.